Hello! I am S.K. Williams, and I would like to welcome you to my reading of the Holy Bible, and more specifically, my reading of the Bishop's Bible of 1568. This Bible is a historical Bible, and has a very important place in the development of the Bible in English, and the development of biblical translation in English, as well as in church life in English-speaking countries, especially for the Church of England and the broader Anglican Communion. Indeed, this Bible was the official Bible authorized for use in the Church of England upon its release in 1568, making it only the second Bible to be given this place. The first was the Great Bible of 1539, and the third was the Authorized Version, now better known as the King James Bible. In fact, the Bishop's Bible was the immediate predecessor of the Authorized King James Version, which in itself would not exist, at least in the form we have it in, had it not been for the Bishop's Bible. The Authorized King James Version was created both as a replacement for the Bishop's Bible and as a revision of it, with the stated goal being a revision of the Bishop's Bible in the New Bible. The Biblical Translation Committee under King James was thus instructed to take the Bishop's Bible as a base. Of course, the King James Bible, or Authorized Version, has been profoundly influential both in the life of the Church and in the development of the English language. And it has been the most widely used English Bible to ever exist, in terms of broader culture, having inspired writers and helped shape the English language as we speak it now. None of this would have happened had it not been for the Bishop's Bible, which, as it turns out, was a successor to the Bishop's Bible, and in many ways is a child of the Bishop's Bible family, a family of Bibles that originates, in a rather ironic fashion, with Tyndale's translation, which was actually condemned both by the Catholic Church and by the Church of England, yet which formed the basis of the Coverdale Bible, which in turn was revised further to give us the Great Bible. The Bishop's Bible is thus a Bible that stands in a long lineage of Bible translations, in which has itself made a profound impact on the world as we know it, not only in it being the base translation for the Authorized King James Version, but in its own right. And yet, this Bible has fallen into obscurity. This, I feel, is a shame, as while the Bishop's Bible was and is not loved, and even modern scholars criticize it, it is still an important part of our history and should be preserved. So, I intend to do my part in preserving it, even though my own efforts may be small. After all, when I present this, I am an unknown, with my videos sharing sites not really having a large audience. However, that may change over time. So, with all that said, I hope you enjoy my presentation of the Bishop's Bible. I have myself always wanted to create an audio Bible, though it may seem odd to begin on such an obscure historical Bible. I feel that my explanation above provides a reason for me to present this Bible. I really only have time to do one. While I'm not ruling out doing other Bibles in the future, it's obvious that I can't do multiple Bibles all at once. So I really had to pick one to go with it. My first choice, however, was, of course, the Authorized King James Version. It's the version I grew up with, and the one that is most broadly used. However, it is also so commonly used that it is redundant that I actually read it in audio format, because there are so many audio Bibles out there that are readings of the King James Version. So I decided to look elsewhere for the audio Bible that I present. So, how did I choose to begin with this one? Well, even though it is not the most common Bible, I was limited to public domain Bibles, and the Bishop's Bible is a public domain Bible. There's more to that, of course, and I could have chosen any Bible that is not under copyright. But it does have to be a Bible that is not under copyright, since I have no permission from any publisher to present a Bible in audio format that they have copyrighted. As a result, since I have no legal permission to use a copyrighted Bible, my options were limited to public domain Bibles. Some modern translations are, naturally and of course, also in the public domain already, either by design, such as the World English Bible or the Catholic Public Domain version, or simply because, while they are fairly new in terms of Bible translation, their copyright was never renewed, such as the Bible in Basic English. But I wanted to focus on historical Bibles for the time being. That is the basis of my Bible text-to-speech program, which I will be launching as well. But I also wanted to do one that was myself, one that I was presenting in audio format. So I decided to focus on historical Bibles. And I had initially decided from that decision, knowing I was going to exclude the King James Version, to start with the Wycliffe Bible. This is the first Bible ever translated into English. But as I reviewed the history, I grew fascinated with the translations that came after, and particularly the Bishop's Bible. And I actually began feeling sorry that the Bishop's Bible never won a broader audience. It is, after all, a Holy Bible translation, and it does have a significant role. Nonetheless, it wasn't the only one I considered. I also considered choosing the Great Bible of 1539. It, too, was a first Bible, the first officially approved Bible for the Church of England. So it would be appropriate to begin with the Great Bible. But I kept leaning toward the Bishop's Bible because of its rarity. Now, I know of no other audio Bible that has chosen the Bishop's Bible, and as I said early on, it's not a well-known or well-loved Bible. So, to my knowledge, this is the very first audio Bible being presented that is a reading of the Bishop's Bible. The same, however, can be said of the Great Bible. I know of no audio Bible reading of it. So why did I settle on the Bishop's Bible instead of the Great Bible? Well, it comes down to my animation software. You see, I use CrazyTalk Animator from Reallusion. In 2016, my mother gave me bundle packs for Christmas presents, which had gone on sale and were 75% off. Those packs featured things I wanted both for iClone and for CrazyTalk Animator, but also featured sets and props that I had no real use for in any of the projects I was working on. This includes the Royal Wedding Pack. I had promised, as Christmas came again in 2017, to use all of the sets and characters that I had gotten, excluding the props and some of the base backgrounds. I did decide, however, to make an exception. You see, in the bundles I got the Royal Wedding, and the Royal Wedding came with 3 backgrounds and 6 figures. The figures actually have no heads, they're just bodies that you put heads on. The 6 figures were 3 bishops, 2 grooms, and a bride. The grooms were one in a ceremonial naval uniform, one in a nice suit, and the bride. But I focused mainly on the 3 bishops, and I decided, since I'm going to make videos out of these audio files anyway, it would be nice to use this set. So instead of using the Royal Wedding before Christmas of 2017, I laid it aside, making it the exception to the rule. Instead, I decided to use it toward the end of December and in early January, at least part of it. I will use the Royal Wedding set whilst reading the Bible, and, because it comes with bishop packs, I'm going to include bishops. I will be dressed as a bishop while reading the Bibles, at least in animated form. And because I am dressed like a bishop, I settled upon the Bishop's Bible. This may sound frivolous and whimsical, but that is the thought process that went into selecting the Bishop's Bible over the Great Bible. So, I shall be using the Royal Wedding Pack. And again, it came with 3 backgrounds. It came with the Westminster Abbey exterior, Westminster Abbey interior, and the Boulevard. I'm going to use the exterior of Westminster Abbey for the Old Testament, the Boulevard for the Apocrypha, and the interior of Westminster Abbey for the New Testament. This way, I think it has symbolic value, especially for Church of England. And I shall be dressed in Bishop's Robes 1 for the Old Testament, Bishop's Robes 2 for the Apocrypha, and Bishop's Robes 3 for the New Testament. I chose to do it this way because the Old Testament readings will be outside the church, symbolic of being outside of communion with God prior to the Christian era. And the New Testament will be inside the church, because now we are in communion and in full service with God. The Apocrypha, which is not considered full scripture by the Church of England, will be on the Boulevard. I intend on adding other books to the Bishop's Bible as well, books that are not actually translated within the Bishop's Bible. When I do that, I will not wear the Bishop's robes and will use other backgrounds, which I will elaborate on in a future video. But suffice to say, I won't be using this package. With all that said, this is how I came to read the Bishop's Bible. It was a combination of desiring to read a Bible and create an audio Bible, wishing it to be a historical Bible, and reviewing a group of things I owned in my animation assets in Crazy Talk Animator. And that's how this came to be. Like I said, though, I will be adding to the Bishop's Bible, but won't be wearing the Bishop's robes or using these backgrounds. Texts like 3 and 4 Maccabees, and even 5 Maccabees, and the 151st Psalm, which are in the Septuagint, or other things like the 152nd through 155th Psalm, or the 156th Psalm, which are located in other things, will be included in this Bible, but I will be using different backgrounds and different clothing to signify they are not part of the Bishop's Bible translation, although they are scripture to some, and were used by the early church. So I won't exclude them for anyone who wishes to use this as a regular Bible, but follows either an Eastern or Oriental Orthodox tradition, or some other tradition that uses them. I also intend on reading 3 chapters a day, excluding the very first day, January 1st. On January 1st, I will read 1 chapter, and that will be Genesis 1. On January 2nd, I will read 2 and 3. I will subsequently be, as a result of this, behind. The truth is, I may not read Genesis chapter 2 until the 3rd of January, at which point I should have 9 chapters, but I will only have 3. But I'll make up those other 3 by reading extra chapters in some of the books. For example, the Book of Ruth has 4 chapters, and I intend on reading all 4 in the same day, rather than reading 3 chapters and waiting the next day. I'm going to be doing it that way as well. If a book does not actually have a series of chapters that break evenly into 3, I will either read an extra chapter or push it back to reading it with another book. For example, both Genesis and Exodus do not have chapters that are divisible by 3. Genesis has 50 chapters and Exodus has 40. And what I intend to do with them is to combine them as if they are one book, at least in terms of my reading schedule. This means that I should have 90 chapters, which will take me 30 days, and I'm hoping to have them done by the 31st of January according to the Gregorian calendar. Now, I'm not going to keep them as the same book when I upload them. I will in fact keep them distinct, but for the purposes of reading, this comes in handy. When I get to Genesis 48, the next day will be 49 and 50 plus Exodus chapter 1. I also intend on uploading these chapters as soon as they are done, but there may be a slight delay as rendering and post-production may take longer. I should be done in 310 days if I read 3 chapters a day. However, Because of illness, travel, and other things that can come up in life, I may not be able to. So my real goal is to have all of this done by the 31st of December 2018 according to the Gregorian calendar. A date that I can extend in case of extenuating circumstances to the 31st of December 2018 Julian. But I am hoping to have this done by the end of the year, at least in terms of the Old Testament. I actually intend on reading the Bishop's Bible for 3 years in a row. Those 3 years will be 2018 for the Old Testament, 2019 for the Apocrypha, and 2020 for the New Testament. Which brings me to the Deuterocanon or the Apocrypha. I actually intend on reading the apocryphal sections of the books of Esther and Daniel, as well as things like the Prayer of Manasseh and the additional Psalms. But I don't intend on reading them this year. At least not in terms of things like Daniel and Esther. With the Psalms, there will be a unique case, but I'll get to those in just a moment. You see, I actually intend on only reading the standard canonical Esther and Daniel, and anything else that I may have to add things to from the Apocrypha. Next year, in 2019, I will in fact read the apocryphal sections, and I will integrate them into both individual chapters and into whole book forms, but they will be presented separately, so in a way there will be 2 books of Daniel and 2 books of Esther for the Apocrypha. Although I'm not going to count them as full others, and I may use some of the chapters that are not altered that I've already read. In terms of the apocryphal sections, I think this is the best way of doing it. This way I can read the Old Testament as it stands, and get to the apocryphal sections later. In terms of the Psalms, though, it will be different. I actually intend on reading 2 sets of Psalms this year. One will be the Psalms from the Great Bible, which are a revision of Coverdale's, but not identical to Coverdale's first edition, and the entire Bishop's Bible Psalms. I intend on doing this because the Great Bible Psalms were actually incorporated into the Bishop's Bible in 1572. Although at that time the entire Bishop's Bible was extensively revised, I do not have access to the whole Bishop's Bible revision text. Still, the Great Bible Psalms were part of the Bishop's Bible, and while they weren't translated specifically for the Bishop's Bible anew, the Bishop's Bible itself borrows heavily from Tyndale and other previous Bibles, including the Geneva Bible, which it was created to be an alternative for. So not everything in the Bishop's Bible is original to begin with. So, because it is part of the Bishop's Bible, I will present the Great Bible Psalms as well as the original Psalm translation that was presented in the Bishop's Bible. But I'm not going to read the Psalms in the same way that I've read other Bible books. You see, for most of the Bible, I'm going to start at Genesis, go to Exodus, then Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, etc., reading them in the order that they appear in the Bible. Thus, I will be reading the Bible cover to cover in audio format as it is presented. The Psalms are, however, going to be excluded, as is the Book of Proverbs, and I shall also be excluding the Song of Solomon. Instead, I will read a psalm a day. This way, I will have 1 psalm read with every Old Testament chapter that I also read. But as noted, I will be reading the Great Bible Psalms in addition to the Bishop's Bible Psalms, because the Great Bible Psalms were, in fact, incorporated into the Bishop's Bible at one time. But because they are an older translation, I will start with them. So I will read all 150 Psalms as are contained in the Great Bible, and then move on to the same 150 Psalms read uniquely in the Bishop's Bible. I'm also, however, going to include 6 additional Psalms. the 151st Psalm, which is in the Septuagint, Psalm 152 through 155, which are in the Syriac Psalms, and Psalm 156, which was discovered at the Dead Sea Scrolls. I will be reading each of those probably from an outside source, but I will be reading them twice, once for the Great Bible and once for the Bishop's Bible. This means that I will have 312 days. 2 days over the expected date if I don't become ill or delayed in any way. However, I do anticipate some delays because, for example, I will be taking a trip to Las Vegas to conduct business, and I have a surgery scheduled for later this year. All of that will, of course, delay me, so I actually think that 366 days is how much I will actually need. As a result, in addition to reading the Psalms, I'm also going to read the Proverbs and the Song of Solomon. However, both of those I will read exclusively from the Bishop's Bible and not from any other. I don't really have much else to say. I think I've explained my reasoning for doing the Bishop's Bible, and I have explained my scheduling. While this is a rare and obscure Bible, I do hope you enjoy listening to it. It is presented to you for historical consideration and for an appreciation of the development of the English language, and as part of our heritage, but it can also be used as a standard Bible if you wish to. Some of you may grow to appreciate the translation's unique mannerisms and simply listen to it to grow closer to God in His Word. Either, of course, is acceptable to me. I have, as I said, little else to discuss, except one last thing about my schedule. New days begin at 12 midnight, but I generally sleep in the day and work at night. As a result, under my clock time, I begin each day at 6 a.m. So I don't really feel like it's a new day until 6 a.m. comes around. Which means if I promise to upload something, like I did on uploading Genesis 1 on January 1st, I don't actually mean I will upload it on January 1st. If it happens that I upload it after midnight, which is very likely because I will be very tired after New Year celebrations and other things, I may actually be uploading them after midnight. And I'm hoping that the viewer here can understand that, because of how my particular life and schedule works. However, from a personal perspective, if I promise to upload something on a certain date, such as Genesis 1 on January 1st, I do not mean I will upload it before 12 midnight. I mean I will upload it before 6 a.m. the next day. To me, midnight through 6 a.m. are just extensions of the same day. So if I make a promise to upload something, for example, on April 3rd, it may actually go up on the site on April 4th at 1 a.m. But to me, that is keeping the same promise, because to me it is still April 3rd. I have little else to say. I think I have explained my position quite well. You will have two options in viewing this. One, I will upload each chapter individually, and after completing each chapter in a book, will compile a single movie version. That way you can either watch the entire book all in one movie, or select a specific chapter. I have little else, as I said, to add, so with everything else out of the way, it is now my great pleasure to give you the opening segments of the Bishop's Bible. It may be enjoyed either as a historical part of our heritage or simply as the Holy Bible, drawing one closer to God and imparting wisdom. It is also the official Bible of the college series. Please enjoy the presentation. Thank you, God bless, and enjoy.